Make sure you get the pregame button off if you never do it.
All right, welcome guys to the MMOs.com podcast. This is Altai here with episode 109, and I'm joined this week by...
Miri. And as always, we will have an awesome podcast for you guys, some great topics to discuss. But as usual, we will start with that good old weekly raid, and we're ready to rock. Let's do it.
All right, this week the weekly raid is, what do you think of MMORPG reboots? So I'm not talking here about sequels, prequels, or spiritual successors, okay? We're talking about good old-fashioned reboots. A couple examples of this recently is the announcement by Nexon that they're going to make a classic server of their own. I guess they're tired of giving the private servers all that moolah. Secret World launched yesterday. Secret World Legends. It's slightly altered version of their original. A little bit tighter experience, less simpler combat. More straightforward, less side quests, but pretty much the same game. Lineage M for mobile, it's literally just Lineage 1, kind of redid for mobile. It's a top grossing game in Korea right now. So clearly there's a lot of a demand for nostalgia. So will we see this more in the future? Do you like it? Do you hate it? What do you think?
I think you just have to look at the release of like TV shows and movies to see how powerful nostalgia is. I mean, like, nostalgia is a hell of a thing. Like, look at the Power Rangers movie, right? Like, they ran the Power Rangers series on Twitch from like beginning to end, and they got so many viewers because of nostalgia. Everybody grew up watching this stuff. So I think like as some of these franchises age, the possibility of rebooting them through a classic server, a progression server, or even like a slight remake increases because these games still have a lot of cachet. Like Ragnarok Online, despite not being a huge money earner, has still, I think, a lot of cachet amongst gamers. Like, I talk to people in my Final Fantasy guild, for example, and like some of them like, oh, I played Ragnarok for like 5 years now. I played for 10 years. Like, I love that game. So if they do something new with it, just because it has a Ragnarok name, people can try it again. I'm actually pretty confident that this Ragnarok Classic server, it's called Ragnarok Restart, which is launching soon. I don't know when that is, but they said soon. I think it'll do really well. It's an official server starting with 2003 content with new updates every month. Something like that. There's a giant market for feeding that nostalgia. And yeah,
as well as I think the server will do, could you imagine that the money they put into Ragnarok Online 2, right? Imagine they just use that money to remaster Ragnarok Online. So now they don't change a single stat. Like all the stats, the classes, skills are all the same. But a more modern engine, like so you can easily do the resolution changes and stuff. A little bit less stuttery, I guess, when you move. Because I remember Ragnarok Online was kind of stuttery. Like I felt like that was kind of built into it. But if they did that instead, it would sell so well.
Not just that too, because actually, for those that don't know, obviously Ragnarok Online 2 is a complete flop. It gets like almost no players here anywhere. The Korean version shut down already. The Steam version is the only version that's left, I believe, in the world right now. And look at the Steam charts for that; it's nothing. And that was a remake as well, because they actually made Ragnarok Online 2 the Gate of the World. That was their first take on Ragnarok Online 2. And apparently it was so bad they shut it down, they remade it as Ragnarok Online 2, Legend of the Second. So they tried to pull like what Final Fantasy 14 did with 1.0 and then Realm Reborn. But like both of them flopped completely. So they don't have like a good turnaround story. And they must have spent a lot of money making this game. I mean, I'm sure actually if we go back and look through Gravity's financial statements, because Gravity is actually publicly traded. If you dig through those financials, we can see how much money went into R&D since the period of Ragnarok Online 2's development cycle. And it's going to be millions and millions of dollars. And it's one of the reasons that really Gravity went to shit, because their only game, I think their biggest game today is a Ragnarok Online mobile game. And prior to that, it was still Ragnarok Online. And they've been living off that one game. I would have loved to see some kind of remastered, new UI, more polished, graphics, the same style of game as Ragnarok Online. That would have done tremendously well, I think.
And you had a good point with the money aspect. With MMORPGs today being so expensive to develop, right? It's a huge risk for these studios. So instead of taking that huge gamble, what if they used, that kind of money to remake a classic title, whether it's Lineage, EverQuest. I think SiriCat and Chat mentioned the one I mentioned in the article here, actually, which one I want to see, Star Wars Galaxies. I think the reason Star Wars Galaxies got shut down, guys, is because when Star Wars The Old Republic came out, it was kind of a rival game, right? But now, I mean, what if EA and Disney just relaunched Star Wars Galaxies? I'm sure Daybreak is just, a hedge fund owned company now. I'm sure they would just, get rid of that, whatever code base they have for it pretty cheaply. So that's the one I want to see.
Yeah, it would do well. I think Star Wars. I think if they remade Star Wars. If they relaunched Star Wars Galaxies, I think there could be. I think there'd be a market for it. I think a lot of people are curious about that game as well. And I think what we've seen is like if you look at all the popular games today, like the most popular MMORPGs, maybe outside of WoW and Final Fantasy 14, like a lot of these most like RuneScape and stuff, like a lot of these older games remain popular. I don't think the complexity of Star Wars Galaxies and maybe some of the difficulty is going to be a turnoff. You know, we've seen a lot of games go way on the easy front. You know, where we've talked about this a lot during weekly raids. Like it feels so easy. I don't think complexity is that big of a turnoff because the biggest MMORPGs today are the old games, and a lot of those old games are much more complex than the new Korean stuff that's coming out today. So I think there's a market for Star Wars Galaxies, and it's sufficiently different from Star Wars: The Old Republic that I don't think there's any real competition. Like they're not the same kind of game at all. One's a very much a story-driven narrative. Other one is, you know, a traditional sandboxy MMORPG.
I would actually add a caveat to your complexity issue. You are correct that Star Wars Galaxies and a lot of older games are complex, but at least a half of the complexity is due to downright awful UIs. And yes. UIs is kind of like battle strategy. You know, people just didn't know any better back then. You know, just like, you know, people thought lining up was a good idea. So there's a lot of bad design decisions circling the UI in these older games that if it was kind of redone with today's expertise, I'd say a game like Star Wars Galaxies would be much more approachable, even with the same gameplay, just with a more modern UI. And I think that Secret World, I've been playing that recently. They did a lot to improve the combat, but there's still that old UI feel that it just kind of holds it back.
And I think you really can't you can't emphasize enough just how important UI is. Because actually, this week, Final Fantasy 14 documentary part 2 came out. I think just yesterday. And the next part is coming out tomorrow. And it's basically chronicles the events of Final Fantasy 14 1.0, the failure of the game, the development process, and they interview the CEO of Square Enix. They interview Yoshi P, one of the localizers. And Yoshi P, the guy that's known now for saving Final Fantasy 14 and working on Realm Reborn, he says, when I first played Final Fantasy 14 1.0, I couldn't play for more than 50 minutes. The interface was garbage. The guy that's working at Square Enix, this well-known game producer and designer, he's unplayable. He said he could not play the game for 50 minutes strictly because of how bad the UI was. And I actually remember after watching that video that I played Final Fantasy 14 1.0 back in the day because this was during the HUT days. So I remember I played the beta. I looked at my email, right? I made my account back in 2009. I was in the beta for Final Fantasy 14 1.0. And I remember playing it at the time, like, how do you get past this UI? Like, I like Final Fantasy, but like this UI is just so bad. And I don't know. I don't think I even did a video for it back then because like I could not, I don't know. The UI was just so off-putting that I didn't even want to look at it. So yeah. UI is just unbelievably important. And I think it is one of those things that you shouldn't really notice, right? If it's done well, it just kind of blends into the background and you don't notice it. But if it's done poorly, you notice it right away and it frustrates you to no end.
I have a lovely story about UI. So I'm playing Secret World Legends, and further, I guess we can talk more about it later. But for the record, I'm having a pretty good time. It's much more accessible now than it was in the past. But with that said, there's so many stupid decisions. Okay, so like in every MMORPG, you can drag like the sword to your sword slot, right, to equip it, or the chest piece to your chest slot, and it equips. In Secret World, if you're off by a pixel into the box, you get a prompt that says, "Do you want to destroy this?" And it's yes, no. And that's the same prompt you get when it says, "Do you want to equip this and bind it," or whatever, right? In most games. So sometimes you click yes, and it's gone. If you're off by a pixel, you destroy your own gear.
But what's remarkable is like these things, like how does nobody in the development team realize like the UI is bad? Like that's an obvious glaring issue, right? You played for like, an hour. That's going to come up, Like how did nobody that was playtesting that game point out to Funcom that this is stupid? And in that Final Fantasy documentary, Yoshi P was like, okay, another frustrating thing about the UI was when you go to close the game, right? Like you go on the top right, you click X to close the game, right? The game says, warning, if you disconnect, your progress may not be saved. When you're closing an MMO, and he's like, and the options are, like yes or quit. No or quit. If you click no, it just puts you back in the game. So like what the hell? Like, and then you try again later. You click the X button, and it gives you the same warning. Warning, if you close the game, your progress may not be saved. And he's like, I'm an engineer. Like, of course your progress is being saved consistently. It's an MMO. Why is he even giving me this message? And the message was there, like, maybe as a disclaimer, like, in the odd chance, like, the servers broke or something catastrophic happened, you wouldn't be saved. I don't know why they put that warning there, though, because he's like, it makes players scared to quit the game over such a stupid thing. Like, this should have been caught, like, day one. But no, it was there for, like, years.
And the documentary we're talking about is a 3-parter. I have part 1 playing in the background. If you guys are interested in MMORPG behind the scenes, I do recommend it. I've watched this with Omar, and it's good stuff. And my favorite part of part 1, at least, was when Yoshi P came in to save the game. First of all, he talked about his past with the genre. He played Ultima Online. He played EverQuest a lot, and he brought that experience with him when he was rebuilding Final Fantasy XIV. And he was shocked to realize, or I guess he couldn't believe it at first, but nobody on the original team for Final Fantasy XIV even played World of Warcraft.
That's insane. How do you not play that?
I know, it's crazy.
You're literally making an MMORPG, and you have like this amazing game from Blizzard, which is like literally the gold standard. It's so popular, unbelievably successful, and nobody at Square Enix decided to play the game? Like, come on, dude.
Yeah, so don't think these guys, even big companies like Square, don't really always know what they're doing. So somehow I'm gonna connect this back to Kickstarter again. Be careful who you give your money to on Kickstarter.
Yeah, if the people like these companies don't know what they're doing either. Yeah.
If Square Enix can't say, maybe one of us should try our competitor's game to see what they did. If they can't put that together. It's not
actually,
easy.
I do want to say one thing in the documentary. It highlights like the connection between Final Fantasy XIV 1.0 and A Realm Reborn. And I didn't follow 1.0 too much, and having watched the documentary, I realized like they actually connected the stories between the games pretty well, and they really were loyal to their the developers kind of gave made the players that stuck around Final Fantasy XIV 1.0 like an interesting experience, because the end of Final Fantasy XIV was almost like one of those epic events. Basically one of the moons was coming down and it's going to destroy the world. And that was like the ending of the game. And actually, you can see in this, drop you this link real quick. Sorry about that. It's in podcast chat. You can see people like kind of waiting for the end of the world. So it's like the last few minutes of the game. Everyone's just kind of, standing on a hill and looking at what's happening, So if you skip around, like actually like after a certain point, it actually disconnects everyone from the server, and everyone who was in the game gets to see the cutscene, the first trailer for Realm Reborn, and you can see the moon coming down and that epic scene with the answers playing in the background. So you get to see the epic Final Fantasy XIV Realm Reborn trailer, and they're like the first ones to see it. The people in the game when the game is basically shutting down for the relaunch.
So what you're saying is Final Fantasy XIV is just a really weird mod for Majora's Mask.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
That's what I'm getting.
And this event that this happened in, like people that got the experience in 1.0, it's referred to as the Calamity. And it's a part of the game's story. People that play Realm Reborn, it gets referenced all the time. But you don't need to play the first 1.0 to understand it. But it's really cool that they connected the stories between the games. Yeah. Regardless, I think a documentary is well worth watching for sure. If you like video game documentaries, I've seen a ton of them. I think MMORPG documentaries in particular are really interesting. Not just Final Fantasy one. There's a RuneScape one. There's a WoW one. There's a Second Life one. There's a lot of really cool MMORPG documentaries. I strongly recommend you guys check out.
The Second Life one, guys, is a little weird. That's a warning.
It's a little cringe. That's why it's funny.
All right.
I mean, quick recap. Actually, I want to mention the Second Life one. It's like this couple meets in Second Life, right? It's a social MMO, and like they were in love in the game. And then they end up meeting in real life, right? And the documentary kind of chronicles their tales in game as well as real life. And when the guy and the girl meet in real life, they're all so happy at first. And like literally like a week later, they're interviewing the girl, and she's like, he just yells at me all the time. He won't stop yelling at me. And like, it's kind of sad, but I don't know. I found that quite humorous that like he would just yell at her over like the game. Fun times.
Well, rage brings people together,
There you go. Actually, there's I'll drop the link for MMO documentaries. We tried putting up all the good documentaries on MMOs.com, links to YouTube videos.
Yes.
So if you're curious about any of those, I've personally seen most of these. The one about internet addiction amongst Chinese teenagers is also quite hilarious.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. I recommend that one, guys. That one's not specifically MMORPGs, but they're talked about pretty often, and gaming in general. Well worth it.
I mean, one of the funny scenes is these kids are like, oh, what games do you play to these other kids? Like they're at a hospital for treatment, right, for gaming addiction. And one of the kids is like, oh, I play Dungeon Fighter Online. Other ones like, I play WoW. And the guy that plays WoW is like, oh, DFO? That's for faggots. It's like they use that same lingo like that we would use as gamers.
I think they say retards or something. Like that game. That's a retard game.
So yeah, it's funny how they interact with each other there, but it's pretty good.
All right. With that, I mean, I want to talk a little bit about the Steam sale, the Steam Summer Sale. It started, and I want to know if you guys bought anything on this. I bought 2 games. Neither actually were MMORPGs. I bought a. Omar, you'll know this one. Commander Keen is for sale for $1, and you get like 6 Commander Keen games.
Classic.
Yeah, so this is a platformer from 1990, guys. And
Holy crap.
Think it's by id Software. So these are the guys who made Doom. If you want to know the origins, I guess, of Doom, go buy Commander Keen for $1, and you can learn about the history of PC gaming here.
I think this ties in well with our weekly rate too, with the nostalgia and relaunches. Like, you've seen just how popular like some of these relaunches are. A lot of game companies are putting their old catalog of games on Steam or on mobile. Like, you got all those Sonic games came out on mobile recently, right?
Yes.
All those old Sonic games. You just bought Commander Keen on Steam. Like, you paid for that, and there's like so many of these old games just making a mini comeback. And look at the SNES Classic, right? And the NES Classic that Nintendo launched. Both of those, sold out really quickly and are doing tremendously well. And it's basically milking on nostalgia, and that's why we're going to see a lot more reboots, remastered, progression servers. I mean, the EverQuest progression server did amazing. It's mega packed, and it's only for subscribers only. You have to pay to actually access that server. The Ragnarok one is free to play, so you don't have to pay for that. So that's why I thought that was going to do really well.
All right, Blizzard's next MMORPG is going to be World of Warcraft Remastered.
Nah.
I don't know. It depends how long, I guess, it takes.
They would just release another expansion. I don't think they're going to release a remastered version.
Also, do you guys know anybody who buys these things for $80? Or okay, $80, whatever. That's a retail price. But these things are on eBay for $300, guys. I feel like at that price, why don't you just put like a little mini, Raspberry Pi PC inside like a plastic case and just do it yourself and then sell it? I don't know. I was thinking of doing that.
Good idea.
All right. Besides,
yeah.
Did you buy anything else? Did you buy anything on Steam?
No, I skimmed through it. There was, you could have bought Black Desert Online for like $7, but it was cheaper on the first week. I skimmed through it. I didn't really buy anything this time.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm hooked on Final Fantasy 14, so I've been playing that nonstop. Literally, almost all my free time on the PC, I've been playing Final Fantasy 14.
I've been playing a lot of BDO. It's $8, like Omar said. It's not the cheapest it's been. It was $6 when it first came out on Steam. But for $8, guys, it's still super worth it. I'm getting a lot of fun out of it. I'm enjoying my time. I'm enjoying a lot more than Morrowind. I bought both on the same day, I think. And I've played BDO much more. I do want to go back to Morrowind eventually, Elder Scrolls Online. But first BDO.
BDO is actually still doing tremendously well, too. I mean, people were kind of assuming that after the first week it would fall off a lot, right? But that's not the case. The game's 24-hour peak is 25,654. The all-time peak, which was achieved like a couple days after launch, was 26,000. So the 24-hour peak is basically the same as the all-time peak. So the game has not fallen off at all since it's launched on Steam, and it's still booming. And so this game is not to be underestimated.
And I want to rub it into the face of Final Fantasy fans, like Omar here, that all those 25,000 are joining however many thousands there are outside Steam on a single server with no queues.
Yeah, the queue times are still an issue on Final Fantasy 14. Actually, I realized how fortunate I was to play on Gilgamesh, the second busiest server in the NA cluster, because I have friends that play on Balmung, the busiest one, and they regularly get queues that are hours long to get in. I had hour queues are normal for me on Stormblood launch, but nowadays I can get in usually in like 10, 15, 25 minutes tops usually. There's always a queue, but it goes pretty quickly. But on Balmung, forget about it. The queues are literally insane, so you can't get in. But yeah, unfortunately, the server technology for FF14's, I guess, network technology is not as good as Black Desert Online. Because, BDO, I guess technologically it is a bit of a marvel for MMORPGs. You have a persistent world, right? One giant persistent world in one mega server.
Yeah, no loading between like...
No loading, yeah. FF14's got zones. You go to a different zone. And like the way the zones are, each zone can be a server too, because they can actually, sometimes FF14 actually puts a zone down for maintenance, right? Like that one zone is no longer accessible while they're doing maintenance on it, right? So it's literally multiple servers too then, or it's compartmentalized somehow. Black Desert is this one giant mega server, and it does it without, these giant queues. Though I think again, that's all in one server. BDO, I think FF14's got a lot more players, but it's spread over more servers.
Yeah, there's no way there's 50,000 people on that one server more.
I don't know.
I don't know. All right. Well, besides that, I bought South Park: Stick of Truth. It's like I think $7. I haven't played it yet, but the reviews say it's basically like a long episode of the show. So if that's the case, I think I'll enjoy it when I get around to playing it. That's it for me on the Steam sale.
Nothing for me, but we can talk a little about Black Desert Online because you've been playing quite a bit of that, and it's. I want to correct what I said earlier. It actually hit its all-time peak like 2 days ago, so it's actually breaking new records right now. BDO on Steam, so it's not that it didn't fall; it's actually still growing. And rarely does a game numbers go up weeks after launch. Usually, it's that week launch that gives it a giant boost, and then it kind of falls back down to a steady state. It kind of stays there, but no, BDO is still growing. Also, how do you feel about the latest change to open world PKing that's happening for Black Desert Online? And that's going to make it so PKers get double the karma penalties before.
Has it kicked in yet or no?
I think it's happening soon. Let me just check. I
Okay,
think it might have kicked in.
Because I just got to like end game leveling where it would be a factor, and I have actually only been PK'd once. So one guy followed me around and killed me, and I thought whatever, he just maybe I was in his grind spot, right? So I rezzed at the nearest node, and I kind of went away from him. Like I could still see him on my screen, but I gave him distance, and then he came after me and killed me again for no reason.
Wow, yeah, so they did it happened already. It's already live as of June 21st ish.
Okay, so then maybe that's why I'm not getting PK'd as much. Honestly, I don't think they needed it, just because it is fun to kind of run from people, deal with people, fight people. But I'm not a good person to ask because I kind of got in. I got to endgame after that date, so maybe it's not like maybe I just didn't know what it was like before.
And somebody's saying it's a top player in BDO. I effing hate it. And actually, I mean, reading this, it does seem like a bit excessive. I mean, when you die in Black Desert, you don't really lose anything, right? As somebody PKs you.
Yeah, I don't think you lose
it's a convenience factor. You got to run back to your grind spot, right? I get it. It's slightly inconvenient, but the guy PKing you, he takes that karma hit, and there's a real penalty there, and he gains nothing for it besides inconveniencing you. So I think like it might be a bit much to double that penalty.
Yeah. I'm usually for open PvP, which especially if the other guy doesn't lose anything, who cares?
Yeah, why even bother killing someone? So I think people at Reddit would complain that it's going to kill the open world PvP, and you can, obviously people don't like getting killed randomly, but I do think that sense of danger, that sense of oh shit, I got attacked, I got to watch where I'm going, maybe like I want to get stronger, not just to grind, right? Maybe to better defend myself. There has to be some urge for you to get better at the game beyond just being able to grind faster, right? There's got to be some purpose for you to get stronger. Because a lot of people are playing for the PvE, even though I don't think BDO is a great PvE game because there's no dungeons. But people are playing to get stronger. But I think you want to also play to like defend yourself too. That adds an extra element to the game. It gives you more motivation to get stronger.
Oh yeah, I had a great time getting PK'd. I was I was on the edge of my seat. I'm like, oh, something's happening. Because besides that, I was fighting these mindless mobs. So like when another player is after you, you gotta actually sit up and plan ahead, think. Do I run? Do I fight? So I had a good time being killed. So
that's actually a really good point.
Yeah, if we see less of that, I think it's a loss for the game.
Because very often we do find ourselves kind of in like we kind of slouch in our chair doing our grind, right? Something has to happen to break that habit, whether it's like some kind of in-game random event or somebody attacking us. For me, like when when I was playing Rust, I got this urge, like holy shit, while I'm cutting some trees down, some asshole shooting at me, like it gets your heart pounding. You got to get to your base, And MMORPGs don't do that nowadays because you don't have that threat of danger. And Black Desert does have it, but they're clearly scaling back on it. And I think it's a mistake too.
Apparently they're adding an area. A certain area, AP over 180 won't count. So I know you were complaining about.
Oh, that's excellent. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because one thing I complained about BDO was, the guy with the better gear is typically going to win, especially if he's got a big gear advantage. If somebody got a big gear advantage, you have no amount of skill to overcome that. But if they add, no AP over 180 matters, it equalized at 180. I think that's awesome. Then you can it'll always be fair. You won't lose to the guy who just plays nonstop because he's got better gear than you. And definitely, because before you didn't have anything that equalized the gear. There was no arena where everything was equalized. There was no way to do equalized battles. At least now you can.
And I'm playing a trailer back here for Xbox, and the game is coming out for Xbox One. That doesn't mean it's not coming for PS4, but that's going to come later. So first Xbox, then PlayStation, for those of you who want to know. And there's a guy in chat, Indie Dude. He's saying a lot of stuff I'm nodding my head with here. Omar, it's kind of mirroring the conversation we had earlier today. Somebody said, I guess in chat, that no dungeons equals no there's no end game because there's no dungeons.
That's not true though. Yeah.
But when I think about it, I think of EVE Online. EVE Online has no like dungeons, but it's an amazing game you can spend years playing because the end game is players, is people, interacting with people, and that's what I think an end game of an MMORPG should be, like a sandbox style experience. Not not a queue and then you get teleported to a room, you fight the big boy, and you get teleported out, and you do it 8 times. Like, I don't know. That doesn't strike me as end game. Like,
no, I think props to BDO for making something different. It's clearly not for everybody, but the fact they did make a game without the PvE dungeons, right? Emphasizing the PvP content, the guild wars in the game. That's good. That's something different too. And again, I don't even mean to sound racist, but like I'm surprised to see that from a Korean MMORPG. When we think of Korean grinders and Korean MMORPGs, we think of the same thing, like kind of polished over and over again. But BDO is quite a bit different than your average Korean game, and maybe that's why maybe it didn't do so well in Korea, but it's doing really well here in the West.
Time for some racism. All right, here we go.
All right, let's go. Let's hear it.
I gave the warning, so it's okay.
It's okay. Yeah,
so,
you're fine.
Like Omar said, like it's so different than the average Korean grinder, right? BDO. It's got this beautiful world, and what I mean, it's visually beautiful. They took care with making the towns, the cities. Like the Heidel actually like mirrors an actual German city. I don't know if I can find the picture, but my point is they took a great care with the with the NPC designs, the world building around the environment. But with that said, they could have done such a better job with things like the lore, the story, the things I guess Western studios are better known for. Whether it's Bethesda or whatever it is. If they dropped that sprinkle of even Japanese companies do this pretty good, with their RPGs. If they sprinkle some of that in on top of the Korean grind, glue, it would have been a beautiful concoction. So, a missed opportunity. Perhaps a future collaboration.
I'm actually looking at the good old game rankings for these Korean games again. A site we look at almost every week. Black Desert is actually number 11. It's been climbing recently, so maybe with their updates coming out. So it's right at number 11 as the most popular game in Korea. Definitely not bad. It was lower earlier, but it is climbing a bit.
What is this? Oh, okay. Let me click on this.
Obviously, League still rocking the number 1 spot. Good old MapleStory and DFO rocking there as well.
Nice. Lineage is there. StarCraft Brood War is still climbing.
I know.
Remastered. By the way, back to our weekly raid. StarCraft Remastered. When that comes out, I think it's going to do really well.
Oh, you know what I would love to see? MapleStory Remastered. Remake that game with a half decent client. God, that game would do amazing again. I think one of the biggest frustration points is people that play MapleStory is how garbage the client is, and like it's just so bad. If they just remade it with the same exact game, maybe MapleStory, keep the graphics the same, redo the network code, redo the interface, maybe redo the engine, I think it would be amazing. The same, it can even transfer your characters over, just replace the old client with a new one. I think that could do really well. That list is for the most played games in South Korea between June 14th and June 20th, is what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, this is in Korea.
Yeah, people saying they have enough issues relaunching MapleStory 2. Yeah, that's unfortunate. MapleStory 2 is number 49 on this list, and it's not doing so hot in South Korea. There's only 1 server. It is full, but there's only 1 server, which is definitely unfortunate. I mean, keep in mind, MapleStory 2 might be one of those games that does really well overseas, and even like BDO did way better in America and Europe than it did in Korea. And even Terra did much better here in the West than it did in South Korea. So it might be one of those games that just does better overseas than locally.
And this next series of screenshots might only make sense if you played Black Desert, but I'll try to show screenshots after. But this is an actual city in France, and if you guys have played Black Desert, this scene, especially right here, looks so much like Heidel, like the streets in Heidel. So they really did, take some care in making a nice, pretty town here.
That is so Heidel.
Yeah, yeah. So everyone in chat, yeah. So if you, I guess if you haven't played, you're kind of gonna miss out on that, but it's fun times.
I think I do want to praise, BDO's, I love seeing NPCs walk around too, the vastness of the world, the persistent element of the world. It was nice. I want to see more and more RPGs do the persistent world thing when they can. It's a good touch. and the cities look nice too, and the proportions are actually pretty good if I remember correctly, like the size of the buildings and stuff.
Yep.
I think no game gets that perfect though. Like usually the buildings are either too big or too small. Usually way too big.
I actually can't wait to play BDO again. But
that's good. Like yeah, because both of us, neither of us have really been itching like really hardcore to play an MMORPG in a while, right? But like I'm itching right now to play Final Fantasy 14, especially after watching the documentary the other night. I thought part 2 was pretty emotional, just watching the end of 1.0, and I heard the trailer for Answers again. I'm hyped to play FF14 again. Like right after this podcast, I'm probably gonna play and just do some story content. I've been playing nonstop. I was mega behind earlier. I finished all of Heaven's Sword since the last podcast, so I played through all of that, and now I'm very close to getting to the Stormblood content. I was obviously behind, but I'm catching up very quickly because I'm playing nonstop lately, and I'm very hyped to play. And you're very hyped to play BDO as well. So we're both back in MMORPG mode.
And one complaint though, there are many things wrong with BDO. One is if you want to be a min-maxer and actually get competitive, which I'm not doing, you have to leave it on 24/7, which is just silly. Like I'm not talking about just AFK fishing. I'm talking about like you just got to leave the game running like in the background 24/7, and that's there's no point to that.
AFK fishing is a thing. Like it's funny. A lot of the people on the MMOs.com Discord are playing BDO, and they're all like AFK fishing too. So
I'll give a pass to the fishing because that's fun. It's a little fun thing. But there's a lot of activities that require just being AFK, not just fishing.
Speaking of those nostalgic old games again, I hate to bring this back again, but I still think Blizzard would make money if they just did a vanilla server. There are literally tens of thousands of players playing on unofficial vanilla servers.
Yep.
And I think some of them would pay monthly to play on a official Blizzard server.
I think all these people trying to get a Blizzard, a World of Warcraft private server, official vanilla server, have went about this the whole wrong way. They're trying to get like petitions and go to like BlizzCon. All they got to do is find Bobby Kotick's Twitter, and then just say, hey, you could be making more money. No, you could be making even more money, dude. Your underlings over at Blizzard are not doing this because they're trying to be like whatever pure to the game. But if you can make more money, go do it, and he'll do it. He'll order them to do it.
But that's the argument I think I've been making since day one. Like we saw how many like 10,000 plus players. Like I'm looking at one right now. This website called WoW Circle, right? It's this. It looks like some private server. I'm trying to see what packets it's in, but it's got 10,000 players online right now. You had Nostalrius with like 5,000-10,000 as well. So these are, if half of those people pay between those two servers alone, you're getting like 150K a month or something crazy, even more. Yeah. So it's so much money, and I think the nostalgia is building up too. I think a lot of those vanilla players all quit now too. But the older they have more money, they want to relive that nostalgia. So maybe they're gonna wait a little bit longer and then maybe eventually release one because this is a money thing. Re-releasing progression servers, re-releasing old servers. EverQuest 2 has shown. EverQuest 1 rather. EverQuest 1, when they've released their progression server, it is unbelievably packed.
You mean their
People
latest
are subscribing?
Their latest progression server. They've been doing this.
The second one, yeah.
Yeah, they've been doing this for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, so they released a second progression server, Armar, something like that. In order to play, you have to subscribe to pay for it. Like the rest of the servers, you can play on for free. This is a paid server, and people are lining up to pay because it's the nostalgia, guys. Nostalgia is so powerful. They got to milk the nostalgia. I think we're going to see more MMORPGs do progression servers or classic servers. Even if WoW doesn't do it, somebody else will.
Indeed.
Yeah, look at RuneScape Classic too. Like it's the player base is still pretty split between Classic and a new RuneScape, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the exact split. They used to list on their homepage, but now I'm just seeing the total. 82,000 players on RuneScape. I could have sworn they had a section that they split the Classic and current numbers, but perhaps somebody in chat will serve you guys better for that.
FF14 2.0 classic server when? Who knows? Maybe. I mean, it's a little too new for Final Fantasy 14. Realm Reborn is still, I think, a little bit too new to start really looking into classic servers. There has not been enough time yet. But I think once you get as old as EverQuest or as old, at that point maybe you might want to do it, to get people that nostalgia. Actually, somebody mentioned MxM. Maybe we can talk about MxM as well.
All right.
Because
we're done with nostalgia, guys. We're looking forward now.
Right.
New games from here on out.
We're looking forward. Yeah, that's true. All right, fine. We'll be forward looking now. MxM actually launched already. If you guys haven't played it yet, it's available for everybody. Just go to their website, you can download and play it. It's a full launch. It's not. I don't think it's even open beta. It's considered like a full launch, and we both played it in for Friday Grindfest. I played it quite a bit more afterwards actually with some of the MMOs.com Discord people. But I want to know what you think, Altai, about MxM because that was, I think, your first time playing.
Yes, it was my first time, and I think, however NCSoft let themselves label this as a MOBA, I think it did them a disservice. So when I played it, I thought I'm like, okay, here we go. I'm gonna do this in a lobby, like a lobby-based game, and we're gonna jump into a MOBA, 5v5 or whatever, and it's gonna be like confusing because there's like 100 heroes. I don't know what's going on. But when I actually played it, that's not what I saw. They had a nice little tutorial, which was short and optional and skippable, where you do PvE missions, and you can do a whole bunch of these. Omar invited me afterwards to a 3v3 arena match. No creeps, no towers, just 3v3, like almost like battle right. That was great. We did that for like an hour. That was fun. And at the end, there is a MOBA version. But the funny thing is, almost everybody who's played this, and I've seen play this, their least favorite mode is the MOBA version. They prefer the PvE. They prefer the 3v3 arena. So it's kind of funny that this is being like, it's got kind of lumped in as a MOBA when the MOBA part of it is probably the least interesting.
Actually, so you mentioned Alien Swarm was kind of like MxM. The Alien Swarm was very much like MxM PvE to a degree. So that's kind of cool that you mentioned that. I forgot Alien Swarm existed.
Oh, I tried to mention that on the Grindfest at the beginning. I remember this. I'm like, this reminds me of some Steam game, but I couldn't remember the name. Alien Swarm.
With MxM though, I've played it. I've been playing it a decent chunk, and I've been enjoying it a lot because I really like the combat. Right, the 3v3 tag team combat. I've been having a lot of fun with that. That's the mode I've been playing almost exclusively. I've got a couple of friends to play the game for the first time, right? I invite them on Discord. I'm like, let's go play. So far, everyone seems to like the 3v3 that I've played with, and the PvE mode has been better received than I thought it would do because a lot of people enjoy the PvE in the game as well. But the PvP 5v5 mode, on the other hand, my friends did not like so far. I have one friend that likes it, one that was neutral, and one just didn't like. And personally, I don't like it at all. I've played like at least 5-6 times, and for some reason I just can't get myself to play that mode. When I play MxM, I'm jumping to 3v3 right away and playing, and it's the 3v3 is hella fun. It's like the initial fun I had playing Battle Royale, because when Battle Royale first was on Steam, I played that nonstop for a while and I had a lot of fun with it, and I'm having that feeling at MxM. However, the one thing that really nags me is the persistent progression. People can bring weapon upgrades to PvP. So people that grind the game, play the game, you play the PvE, you get item drops, you can use that to upgrade your weapons for each individual master. Those are your heroes. So if you upgrade your, you can choose one of 3 upgrades for your hero, like weapon range, weapon damage, or something else. So I'm playing against somebody, and he's got 3 upgrades of weapon range. I only have 1 upgrade. So my default gives me plus 60 weapon range, right? So I can shoot further with my character's gun. My opponent, on the other hand, has plus 180, plus his base 60. So he's got 240 weapon range. Additional 240. I only have plus 60. That just feels unfair. I'm playing against a guy that just has more range than my guy, even when we play the same character. And it's because he played longer. And he's got these persistent unlocks, and I hate that.
So this comes up all the time when I have discussions off stream. This kind of fairness and like balance. Maybe I'm just old. I don't know, but it never bothered me. Like unfairness, and I'm gonna go all the way back to Ultima Online again. When we were PvPing Ultima Online, we often jumped into battle naked with a katana. no shield, even though we had, if you had, and we just had fun. I don't think you need balance to have fun. I remember in Gunbound. Remember there was like a channel where you could just literally have gear that gives you stats in Gunbound.
Nobody played on that server. That channel sucked.
No, people play it.
Avatar off for the win.
No, but okay. But my point is, so many games in the past, and a lot of games today, like in Asia and Turkey, the overpowered gear is not a problem. People are okay with it apparently. Like Crossfire in China, like premium bullets or whatever. Nobody cares. So I don't know. This perfect balance is it's just, it almost feels like entitlement to me. Like, play the game to have fun. If you only have fun when you win these games, that means at best half the time you're not having fun, right?
No, that's not true at all, because I agree with you. Balance for MMORPGs especially is not important. I'd rather have more variety and stuff like that in MMORPGs. But in a game like MxM, when I'm playing a MOBA, when I'm playing this battle arena game where it's me against them, something just feels wrong when they just have more range than I do. Or they have better stats than I do. Like, I don't care I don't even mind the fact that heroes aren't balanced. That doesn't bother me one bit, right? Maybe one hero is weaker than another hero, like objectively, right? Whatever. That doesn't bother me one iota. That bothers me if they're playing the same hero as me and they just have more stats because they played the game longer. That part nags me. It's just not fun because if I lose to that guy, right? Let's say I lose, and I don't know if he's got better gear than me. Right? I can always he just pay to win, that's why I lost. Maybe he's got. It's not that you pay to win either because you can unlock all of these in game. Everything is unlockable in game for free. You pay my space, speed it up, but you don't need to do it. However, I want to play the 3v3. I want to play the PvP, and it's just weird. Like they actually actively decided that skill upgrades don't carry over to PvP.
Okay.
But weapon upgrades do, and nodes do.
Okay.
And nodes are like runes in the game.
Yeah.
There are legendary tier runes, legendary tier nodes, which increase your stats much more than the shitty nodes I have. So I'm playing against a guy that's got better nodes than me. He's got weapon upgrades, and it just seems, what the hell?
You know, when you play basketball in high school, some kids are taller than you.
They were.
But you know what? They all have fun somehow. How do they do it?
That's not the same thing.
Gamers should learn.
But do you think, let's say Counter-Strike Go would be a better game if in those inside the chests, there's the guy gets like a rare M4 or rare AK, right?
You just described Crossfire.
+10 damage.
You just described Crossfire, which by the way makes more money than Counter-Strike.
It does make more. I don't know that. I don't know.
Got him.
Hold on, I don't know.
Whoa.
What?
Not the American version. The Chinese version is complete pay to win. You use like premium gold bullets and everything.
Okay, I want to look into that because I've only played the American version, and I know there was, I don't know if there was. I don't think there was paid bullets. There was golden bullets in the American one. But do you think Crossfire would be Counter-Strike would be a better game if, one guy's gun just does more damage because he's got that very 1% drop?
Look, there are limits, obviously. If one guy just one-shots everyone else takes like 2 hours to kill someone, it's just a bad game then, okay? There are limits to,
well, obviously, I said +5 or +10 damage, not +100%.
In that context, if he worked for that weapon, right?
Yes. He worked for it with his credit card.
Well, but you said in game.
No. You can grind. Let's say you can grind it in game, and it takes you on average like fucking 6 months to get it.
6 months
nonstop play.
Okay.
Or you spend $500 and you get it that way.
Well, okay. If I don't know what the balance would be, but that's fine. Because again, think of E Online or Ultima Online. Some people have
MMORPGs are different. I agree with. I said MMORPGs. If different classes in MMORPGs don't have to be balanced, and I think it adds more fun if they're not balanced.
What if you have a sword in MMORPG like Black Desert, and I have the same sword, but yours is +9. Every attack does 9 damage more, which is what Ultima Online did with the magic weapons.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine, right?
That's fine.
Okay. So you're okay with MMORPGs? It's just shooters.
No, it's non-MMORPGs. Games like shooters and MOBAs, where like they kind of emphasize the competitive element of it too. Like games like League and Dota don't do this for a reason. And League is the most successful PC game in the world, by the way, and they don't do this. And then you have a shitty game like Heroes Evolved.
What about Honor of Kings or Strike?
I don't think the game has any. I don't think the game has any pay-to-win elements. I played again. It's hard for me to read the Chinese, right? I'm just kind of dicking around as I play that game. It's launching in America in English sometime in September. We're going to check. I'm pretty sure it's got nothing actually.
We'll see. But
no pay-to-win stuff.
My point is, if it's a fun game, that part is not the deal breaker. And obviously, most games like those Chinese browser games that happen to be super pay-to-win are just bad games in general, right? Oh, here's
those games are you not a lot of those Chinese browser games are basically a PvE experience. You're not really PvPing. You don't have to participate in PvP. Like it's literally PvP's own segmented area. You don't have to do.
Oh, I got a silver bullet ready. I'm gonna load it in the chamber.
All right, load up your silver bullet. Let's hear it.
It's a game. Clash Royale. You play it. You like it. It makes a lot of money. Billions of dollars. Boom, boom, boom. It's literally the other guy has his archer do more, like 30% more damage than you.
Here's the deal though. Clash Royale literally has a mode where all that shit is balanced automatically. And guess what? That's the mode everybody uses in the tournaments and in scrims.
That's fine, but you can't normally play that mode. Like the normal way
to level. If I challenge you right now to Clash Royale, guess what? What happens? We're all equalized. Why is that?
If you open the thing and try to play to get trophies against a random opponent, you're gonna play.
If I challenge people.
Okay. I'm not against that. I'm not against that. Okay. I'm saying you can. Clearly you can have a competitive.
But here's the thing on MxM. In their ranked mode, no matter even when you challenge people like one-on-one in custom games, you ranked mode, the guy's got better nodes. He's got better nodes than you. He's got better weapon upgrades than you. I think games like Counter-Strike, games like Overwatch, games like MOBAs are ruined when they're not balanced. Personally, and I don't want to be because I don't think a lot of the stuff. Like, I don't want to be the all pay to win is evil. Look, I actually don't mind the imbalances in MMORPGs, even the pay to win elements in MMORPGs, because honestly, if you pay for better gear in Final Fantasy 14, in World of Warcraft, let's say WoW sold you the best weapon, the best raid drops, honestly, it doesn't matter because you don't have to participate in PvP where that advantage matters. Like you're playing an MMORPG, honestly, most of the fun is getting gear progression on your own. If some other asshole wants to pay for it, whatever, it doesn't bother me that much, right? I think it's a bad decision, but it wouldn't bother me the way it does if in Counter-Strike, where literally the game is all built around PvP. It's built around, us playing as each other. This asshole has got just does more damage than me. Like that grinds my gears. The MMORPG pay to win doesn't. Even if it is pay to win.
I think you're gonna be disheartened when this legacy ends. For example, games like Counter-Strike, League of Legends, the things you mentioned. The reason they're not pay to win is because they were released at a time when pay to win wasn't prevalent. So when newer shooters and newer MOBAs or they come out, whether it's Striker Kings or whatever, Crossfire, when they come out and they are pay to win and they're popular and they make a lot of money and nobody complains, you're gonna just be used to it. You're not gonna, it's gonna be the new norm.
I don't think King of Glory is pay to win though, but again, I don't know because most of the time, a good way to gauge if a game is pay to win for Chinese games is when you go to the game's app store page and it tells you what the most popular purchases are. Right? Usually, it'll say like, oh, the $99 bundle is the most bought, the 99-cent bundle is the most bought. In a lot of these pay to win Chinese games, the most bought item is the $100 package because you have to spend all this money to get good in the game, right? For King of Glory, the 99-cent package is the most popular, and like the $100 package on the bottom. But obviously, I don't know until I play it myself.
All right. Well, we'll have to see how the industry shakes up. My main thing is I want fun. That's my main concern.
Do you know what's not fun? Some asshole's got the same gun as you, but he does more damage than you, or the guy you playing. Look, even though I was kind of frustrated with MxM, I enjoy the 3v3 MxM. Even with I'm kind of like gritting my teeth and playing people that have better weapon upgrades than me. But I think the PvP is really fun in MxM, and I do recommend people that like League and Dota to at least give it a try. It's really the only MOBA that's really tried to shake things up. You have the tag team gameplay, and that alone is so different than what we've seen in other MOBAs. So I think it's worth trying. And
surprisingly, the PvE back to Master and Master finally. The PvE content is way better than I thought it would be. I thought it was gonna be like that. Well, I keep forgetting that game that we played. That 3D MOBA that tried Battleborn, right?
Yeah.
The Battleborn PvE somehow it just seemed gimmicky to me. But here it made sense. It was kind of this isometric like Alien Swarm, old school arcade like shooter, adventure shooter game style gameplay. So I really like the PvE content in Master X Master.
Yeah, my friends who did PvE as well kind of liked it. I've been trying to do the harder modes, and I've been wiping on that. So it's quite hard on the more difficult game modes. You got to grind some of the weapon upgrades too, probably to do it. But it's fun. It's one of those PvE, if you play right, you can dodge everything, so it's surprisingly decent.
All right. What else? What's up?
We can talk about silly side thing. Azure Creation on your favorite MMORPG. They're doing a summer crowdfunding campaign now.
Oh.
A new separate route of crowdfunding, and they said it was because all those people that they wanted to give us money but they couldn't because they live outside America. They couldn't use PayPal.
Yeah,
and all that stuff.
This is such a funny excuse, guys. Okay, so Kickstarter, I assume, takes PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, right? And he's like, well, we had so many people mailing us in from like Zimbabwe or whatever weird place that don't take Visa, and they just wanted to give us money, but they couldn't because they don't, there's no Visa, there's no PayPal, or there's no MasterCard. I just came from Turkey, right? In Turkey, we got Visa, MasterCard. It works just fine. You put, they swipe it, it works. You can use your American card. There's no problem. So I don't know what countries this guy's talking about, and if whether those countries have enough money to spare for crowdfunding MMORPGs.
Surprisingly, the backing for this has not been nearly as strong as the original campaign. They have 414 backers so far, and they're only on that first tier, and there's only like 20-something days left. But look what the package is. The $5,000 package. This is reminding me of Shroud the Avatar with their very expensive packages as well.
Oh baby. Let's see how high they go. 5,000. Hero of the people.
Do you want to be a hero of the people? You gotta buy that package. But I think the most absurd crowdfunded news this week is for Chronicles of Elyria. And you showed me this video earlier, and I was astounded that they were trying to do this. So basically, Chronicles of Elyria did a Q&A with the founder, Caspian, right? What's the main guy's name again?
Let's go with Caspian because I have no idea.
No, that's one of the guys in the forums. I'm not sure if it's the same guy. I forgot. But whatever. Look at the video, and you showed me this video, and the way they were describing NPC interactions with their lords and how their tastes and their rebelling. What do you think, Erhan?
Okay, so in the Q&A session, somebody asked him like, "Will NPCs have personality?" And he goes on to explain how they're going to build a system into the game that it works like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So each NPC you encounter in the world will be somewhere on that pyramid, with the top being like self-actualization, where this guy is just trying to like make the world great, follow his dreams. Then you got people that are hungry and they can't like, think ahead. And then that's going to determine whether they listen to you, how they interact with you, what they do in the world. And look, it all sounds great, right? But it just sounds like something that's like, if companies like Square Enix, Blizzard, whatever, can't like figure all this out and integrate all this, like BDO, like the NPCs kind of just stand there, the main merchant and stuff, right? And with Blast, $60 million, and you got no interaction with NPCs. I don't know. I just don't think these guys know what it'll take to kind of implement the kind of systems they're hoping to implement in games like this.
If they struggle with this stuff that they're talking about, with NPCs having self-actualization, different hierarchy of needs, like, the game is never going to get done. They're going to be struggling on programming this into the game literally forever. Like, no giant company is able to figure this out with $100 million budgets for their games. And people have been doing this forever. And this guy who has literally never made a game is going to do this? Come on. This is such bullshit. Like, I can't believe people buy this stuff up as like, oh my God, Chronicles of Elyria is going to be the best game ever. We got hierarchy of needs for our NPCs. Like, there's so much like cool stuff, right, in the Chronicles of Elyria design, the stuff they put on their blog post about the way they want to design the game. But like, it's not real. It's not practical. It's not realistic. That stuff's not going to happen.
And the granddaddy of this, I call it a feature creep, right? You got people sitting around a room, a table, like, well, what if our game had this? What if our game had that? Like flying mounted combat, underwater combat, submarines, ships, boats, spaceships. Like, you can keep throwing things at the wall, but each of these things takes a long time to make, and it just exponentially grows in complexity.
It's like this. If I say like, oh, why an MMORPG should have NPCs that are indistinguishable from real players. Hey, wouldn't that be really cool if your game just had literally NPCs running around and talking and interacting that are just literally indistinguishable? Yeah, it'd make the game freaking amazing. The player base would look through the roof. They'd interact. You'd get more people for your party. It would boost the economy. But like, that's literally not possible. We don't have AI at that level yet. You can't just slap these things in that have literally never been done on an indie project with relatively modest funding. I mean, this is impractical. They're getting so caught up with these details, they're gonna miss the big. They're gonna get lost on the forest, the whole project. We've seen this with Star Citizen as well. They're so focused on a lot of these little things. There was a video about the project management, how they make like one box or like the hull for an airplane. And they spent like all of this time. They coordinated with like 4 different studios to make this stupid hull on one ship. And, like, that's why these things take forever, because you gotta make the game. Don't worry, those little details can be done later. You gotta make something first.
Do you know Chris Roberts' brother makes $300,000 a year?
I didn't know that.
At Star Citizen.
What is his job title? What does he do?
He runs one of the 4 studios.
Oh, a good chunk of change. Is it like has he run game studios before, or is it like yo, you my bro, here's $300K kind of deal?
I think it's the latter there. Yeah.
I think his wife or his girlfriend is
also an employee.
Also, and she has no credentials in the industry, of course. So people are giving him shit for the nepotism there, but I don't think it's a big deal. I don't really, he's throwing some money to his bros. Yeah, it's not my money. I didn't fund the game, all right? His wife is so hot, though. All right. Star Citizen is up to like what, 150? Actually, no. We should talk about Star Citizen. There's actually a good bit of news for it. Actually, they actually had to come out and defend their finances recently amidst rumors. So did you hear about this?
I did hear about this. Do you know
I know the gist of it.
Okay, you go ahead.
All right. Basically, the way I understood it is they took out a loan from a bank in the UK, and they had to file some paperwork. And the paperwork, interestingly enough, is actually public in the UK. A lot of the changes, like corporate ownership, is all public, so you can see that they have basically they got an advance on tax credits for the UK subsidiary, and a bank gave them a loan, which is an advance on those tax credits, and they pledged the company to do this, and that's actually perfectly normal. When you borrow money, and when a company borrows money, they usually pledge the assets of that company to pay that money back. It's perfectly normal. Even if you borrow like a tiny bit of money, you pledge the assets of your company to pay it back, because you can pay it back. It's no problem, right? So people are saying, oh, they pledged the company. They must be in financial straits. And no, that's not true, because, again, this is very normal financial lingo. What's surprising to me, though, is that they felt like they needed to get an advance on these tax credits, right? That makes me think there actually might be some financial issues involved. Not because they pledged the assets of the company, but because they couldn't wait for the end of the year when the UK government gave them this money, right? Because if you earn a tax credit and you earn no income, you literally get money back from the treasury. So they were going to get money at the end of the year from the government for these tax credits, but Star Citizen could not wait for the end of the year. They actually went out of their way. They filed all this paperwork. They took out a loan in advance of that. And when you do that, you're actually paying all these fees to get all the paperwork done. You're paying interest on this loan when you could have just waited to the end of the year to get it yourself anyway. The fact that they felt they had to do that, right? They needed that money right away. Makes me think that there's something amiss, personally.
To defend the other side there, we don't know if it means that because perhaps it was just a forex move. Like they locked in, they got USD today at today's exchange rate, and they're gonna get Great Britain pounds later or something. So it could just be
you telling me that they are speculating on the forex markets? Is that why they did this? And the sums we're talking about are literally pennies in the size of the $1 trillion forex market. Like the amount of tax rebates they're getting is maybe like $1 million or something. Maybe $2 million.
No, that's what I'm trying to say. Today, that credit is worth $1 million converted from pounds, right? But maybe in 6 months it'll be worth $600,000, $700,000.
It could be worth $2 million next year.
Yeah,
you don't know. Nobody knows.
But their expenses, their salaries, their company is USD
You're wrong.
based.
Their expenses in the UK are GBP based.
In the UK they are, but
well, that's where they get the tax credits.
Well, here's the explanation on the article is the revenue they collect is in USD and euros.
Their revenues are in USD. That's true, but their expenses in the UK. So it's $5 million last year they got in credit. So. So the argument from them is saying they want to speculate on the forex market.
Well, I don't know. You're saying speculate, but I mean, I'm hearing
it could go either way. Their expenses are locked in that region.
You know, it's like what do they call it when the oil company
hedging.
Yeah, when airlines. Yeah, they're hedging. They're hedging the currency risk.
But they have because companies hedge when they do business in US dollars exclusively, and they want to like avoid that risk, right? But when a company has expenses in GBPs, like that, it equals out anyway. So now they're taking out. This costs money, by the way. The act of hedging, the act of taking out a loan, there's an expense to it. There's a cost to it. So if the expenses are,
it warrants more digging in, right? But on the surface, it could just be something like their CFO did without even asking anyone else. It's just like a hedging move. Like we don't know what the story is behind it.
I don't know. And they say, given today's low interest rates versus ongoing uncertain currency fluctuations, those two things don't seem super related.
Ooh.
But they are getting a lower interest rate on the loan. I don't know.
Yeah.
Regardless, I still hope the game happens.
Well, we got $9 donation. Thank you, these nuts. So that will help us fund Chris Roberts' next vacation with his wife.
His hot wife. His hot wife. All right, not the regular wife, the hot one.
When I buy a new Starship, all right? What else we got?
They're still raising quite a bit of money. I think they're over 155 million now.
They had a sale recently. They sold a speeder bike. I think it's called the Nox Star Citizen Nox. Let me see what this looks like. So they're still designing ships. They're still selling stuff. Oh, the Cake Meister, 200 bits. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, Cake Meister. Brexit has actually hurt the value of the Great British Pound significantly. The interest rate was already very low in Britain. It was very low in America too, but it's been raised, I think, 2-3 times already. But yeah, interest rates are very low across the world right now. The Brexit really just shot on their currency right now.
I love like the stats on this Nox bike. Okay, so all the stats are TBD. Propulsion overview. It's all just TBD because there's nothing yet. You know, it's a JPEG.
He's building his own spaceship to run away. That'd be pretty funny. He's off to Mars with Elon Musk. All right.
So there you go.
All right, we should be a little more forward-looking as well. There's I think Critica is launching real soon. They're preparing for the open beta. Yeah, it's beginning on June 29th, which is this Thursday. What do you think about Critica? Do you think they'll do well?
I think it will find a niche. I can't say I'm super excited for this one, only because it's nothing new, honestly. It's from 2012 originally in Korea, and we're just getting it now. Which it's nice that we're getting a localized version. I played it. I did have fun when we played it. I did play. We played actually a little longer after the Sunday Funday, right? We kept going with the stream. I had fun, but I don't know if it's something I'm gonna invest a lot of time in. You gotta play the game. You gotta play each level like 4 times. I don't know why they do that.
People in chat are speculating about how much Star Wars Old Republic costs. We have the number at 200 million. on MMOs.com. And again, I think I cited at the bottom where we got the source from. There's no definitive answer to any of these, mainly because these aren't broken down explicitly. But we have sources for everything we can find for most expensive MMORPGs developed. But yeah, Critica, I agree with you. I don't think it really adds anything new to the genre. It's fun. I think the art style is good. It's fun for a while, but I don't think it's gonna be able to keep me hooked. This kind of game, especially, we've seen so many times. You know.
With that said, though, what is this the best version of this kind of hub world plus levels and missions game currently?
Vindictus, I think, is more well known.
Yeah,
and Vindictus is getting a big update too soon.
That's true. There's I was actually surprised to hear they're still adding classes to Vindictus. That's an old game now.
Mm-hmm. The new Miri class looks kind of cool too. They already released a video for it.
Let me see this.
Unfortunately, there's no release date for this in America just yet. They're just showing it off in Korea now. America just launched the Rise update for the game, which is the biggest update for Vindictus yet. So you get new basic default skills for everybody, new backstories, condensed story. A lot of changes happened to Vindictus. So if you never played Vindictus, maybe now's a good time to return to it. Plus, you got this new class coming out eventually too.
Yeah, I mean, this game is on Steam, but I don't think it was ever mainly the player base was never mainly from Steam. There's only like 500 people on right now. But I'm sure on the MxM client, there's a lot more people playing. MapleStory
only gets about 1,200 people on Steam, right? But I think there's a lot more people than that playing MapleStory through the MxM client. I think it's the same way for Vindictus.
Mm-hmm. Fun fact, I know I mentioned it before here, but Vindictus is one of the few non-Valve games made on the Source engine. Did you know that?
I did not.
I always thought that was interesting.
Actually, back to that Korean chart too. Mabinogi Heroes, right? It's what the Vindictus is in Korea. Outranks MapleStory 2. It's number 29 on that list, so it's still fairly relevant in South Korea still too.
Well,
actually, there's another game with this exact same model launching pretty soon. That's pretty surprising too. It's gonna launch. Let me see what game it was. We have it on here. Twilight Spirits is launching on Steam on the 29th. Also, I believe this Thursday. This is a game I bet most of you have not heard of.
I haven't heard of this.
Take a look at that gameplay video on the feature video we have over here. This is, I believe, thanks to Steparo for the video. But it's a Chinese action MMORPG, which is going to be like Critica from what I've gathered from the video. You can see people like in those little dungeons. You can see the stages, the maps of the stages. So I think it's going to be the same kind of game with the persistent hubs, instance dungeons. But it's a Chinese take at this. It's developed by a company called NetEase, and it's launching in English in like 2 days, which is pretty surprising because we heard nothing about an English release date until like just recently.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about this.
Man, it's happening though.
All I know is the name sounds like one of those Final Fantasy movies.
Oh, Twilight Spirits.
What was it called? Was that the name of it? Twilight Spirits?
No, it wasn't called Twilight Spirits. It was called
something Spirits.
Spirits Within.
Yeah. I think that was it.
And Advent Children. Look, slight detour. I love Final Fantasy. I grew up playing a lot of these games, and I love Final Fantasy 14. When I watched the Spirits Within, the Final Fantasy movie, I died a little bit inside on how much I disliked it. And they like, oh, don't worry, you can watch Advent Children, right? That one's coming out. It's gonna be better. We swear. It's gonna be the Final Fantasy movie you wish like we had before. I didn't like Advent Children at all. It was like this mindless action. I like Final Fantasy 7, but I don't know. I don't want to watch mindless action in a movie, especially a Final Fantasy movie. It's supposed to be about the story, the emotion, the characters. But no, we get this action and this CGI. I know people actually like that one, Advent Children, but I don't know. Didn't do it for me. But to each their own. Yeah, it wasn't for me. I know a lot of people did like it though.
There it is. They should make a movie. Why don't they ever make a movie adaptation of their actual mainline Final Fantasy games? I feel like that would be a smarter move. Like, imagine a Final Fantasy X movie. I'd watch that.
I think Final Fantasy X had a great story. I think pretty easy to add it into like a movie too.
Yeah, I think so. It's even got the Sixth Sense twist at the end.
There you go. I think they could make a Final Fantasy 14 movie too with all the story content there. That game. I'm kind of itching for Play FF14 again right now. That's the game that has my itch quite a bit right now. And I really haven't had a strong MMORPG itch in a while. I would just play a game for like a short while, pop to another game, dick around. But for me, it's FF14, and I'm loving the game right now. They should make a movie on that though. FFX, Final Fantasy 7. I'm still waiting for the remake, some gameplay for the remake. They didn't even show it off at
keep
E3.
waiting, keep waiting.
Is that still like forever away? Is there any release date on that or anything?
No way.
Final Fantasy 7 remake.
Didn't they say they're gonna release it in three parts too? What a joke.
Some bullshit. I don't know. But yeah, that's also another funny thing about that. We were talking in the pregame about hype. Like there is literally no way in God's green earth the FF7 remake will not let people down. It's impossible. You know, you can never meet that, you know, expectation when you have like such a, you know, a remake like that. And it kind of fits with the nostalgia discussion earlier because they're literally remaking an old franchise. Is Defiant still going strong? I don't think so. I think people still play it.
The show got canceled, but the game is still going.
Yeah.
I'd never played Defiance. Have you?
I don't think so either, actually.
I remember the show. I tried watching it, right? I don't know. I couldn't get into it. I watched like 3 or 4 episodes. I love sci-fi. But just saying the name Defiance made me yawn. You guys saw that, right? So I don't know. It just bored me.
I must have played it ages ago, but like I remember like so nothing about the show. I watched a show with you. We watched like 2-3 episodes, and after that we just stopped. But it's still around. Player base is about 400 right now on Steam. It averaged about 400 people over the last 30 days, so not great right now.
I got a funny trailer to show. All right, and this one
I
want to play the audio, so I'll link it to you. Then I'll play it for the chat all together here. So it's pretty short. It's a launch trailer for Secret World Legends, and it's so funny because they tried to do it like a movie trailer. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
You can just about smell the brimstone.
The bass drops are so funny.
A storm is brewing.
Boom, that bass.
Witness the legacy of those who were brave and dared to dream.
It's so random.
Shape the world to your will.
Those bass drops, though.
They went full Nolan.
You've been brought here because they need you here.
We can give you the world. Come, and you'll see.
We're agents of chaos. We do what is necessary.
Dun.
That music,
Find
though.
us, or we'll find you. Whatever your reasons for being here, you bring a reckoning.
But
Become the one who pulls the strings.
Every event, no matter how small, has consequences.
Oh, yeah, it was actually a pretty cool trailer, though. I thought it was pretty decent. I liked it.
I thought it was a good trailer too. It was kind of just funny too, the fact that they tried to make it like a movie with all those action sequences. But when you actually play the game, the combat's slow paced. Like it's an old school kind of pacing. So contrast it with the actual pace of the game to that, where like things are blowing up, you're getting thrown around. It's just a funny contrast.
But I think that trailer kind of emphasizes the kind of game Secret World Legends is. It's a narrative, story-driven game, and that's actually something we don't get too much of. Like, really, how many story-driven MMORPGs are there? Like games that are actually have a story-driven game. Star Wars: The Old Republic, Secret World Legends, and Final Fantasy 14. That's literally it. Off the top, like, is there anything like WoW has like great lore, right? But the lore is there for you to explore on your own time. It's not like driven. It's not a story-driven game.
I prefer that though. I think that's a big difference between us. There was like a kind of misunderstanding. I like games. I like worlds where it's show, don't tell. So I don't want an NPC, coming up on my screen first person view and talking to me for 5 minutes. That's to me boring. That's stupid. That's a bad way to tell a story, in an MMORPG especially. I want to explore. Like, wow, why is this building here? Why is it abandoned? And then you move around and you kind of see ghosts, and you gotta make it up in your mind. And your experience will be different than other people's. And EverQuest was great for this. Like it was just beautiful scenery, but there was no like, hi, welcome to Quanos. This was founded in this year. Go kill 10 rats. That didn't happen because.
But the way the Final Fantasy 14 story is told, yes, it has the the mainline story is kind of like linear. It takes you through the story, right? However, a lot of the lore and the smaller details are in the world. You have to explore on your own. You have to do the side quests. All right, there's this one side quest I was doing when we met Matoya. She's one of the scions is Yushtola's master. She's an old witch who lives in a cave, right? And you don't really know their relationship too well. All you know is she was the master. Like she taught Yushtola everything she knows, that stuff. And then you don't really know their relationship. But when you do the side quest in that cave, you discover like how close they actually were and like what happened between them. And like it really puts that lore into you, and it makes you care about the characters, right? You don't really understand that when you just listen to the main story, right? Main story quest. But when you go out of your way to explore it, which you don't have to do, many people probably never did it. But if you do it, you get a greater appreciation for the area, for the characters, the lore, and I think it's done really wonderfully. And the game has a lot of side quests like that, where they don't try bombarding you with all these facts and backgrounds, right? They give you the bare minimum in the story, and it's still enough to appreciate the game, I think. But to really get the full appreciation for the game, you do have to do a lot of these side quests, and you don't have to. You can play for everything else, but it's nice that they're there.
Yep. Well, a different style, I guess, of telling a story, building world. There's no right or wrong. It's up to you.
Indeed.
With that said, guys, Secret World Legends free to play officially came out yesterday. I think there was a 3-day head start before that, but they don't even call themselves an MMORPG anymore. It's like a shared world thing with instances with smaller number of people. Honestly, even this I feel is like too multiplayer for this game. So far, I've been playing for a couple hours, and there's literally no interaction with another human. So I think it kind of reminds me of those old Half-Life horror mods somewhere. What was that last one we played? Cry of Fear. Yeah. It kind of reminds me of Cry of Fear.
OG Half-Life mod, yeah.
Yeah, like the visual style and stuff. I don't know.
It's different. I like the fact that they're doing something a little different, like this narrative-driven game. There aren't that many other games like that, right? Clearly, I think the main selling point for Secret World Legends is that story. I don't think it's going to be the gameplay. I mean, maybe as you listen to the story, you kind of invest in your character, and it makes you want to do all the other content. But I think the story is the main drive.
Yep, and they've really stripped everything else out. Like there's no like trash loot, which is nice. There's actually no loot. The monsters drop no loot. The only way to get loot is you get random drop boxes by completing quests and killing like mini bosses around the world. So the average monsters you kill, I don't care if you kill 100 of them, you get 0 loot from them. So which I find it's good. It's all right. It's very different. It feels like, it doesn't feel like a traditional MMORPG at all.
I mean, it's another Western developed MMORPGs. There really aren't too many of them, so we gotta savor the ones we actually do get. Everything is Korean and Chinese these days.
Remove the mo. It's an RPG.
That's fair.
Yeah, the setting is nice.
Really well too right now.
The setting is nice. I think we need whatever you want to do. Narrative, open world, sandbox, whatever style you want. I do think we need more modern setting MMORPGs. I'm tired of the swords and dragons. Spaceships, I've seen it too. I want like a modern day MMORPG.
It's hard to make that like I think because games are still a form of escape, right? And if it's modern setting, I feel like it's a little harder to disconnect with yourself. I think you do want to get lost in that world, and when your world is a modern day world, it feels too close to home. You want to escape your miserable life into the world of Eorzea, into the world of Azeroth. You want to get out of here. This world sucks. Maybe that's the reason.
Yeah, I mean, you can still have fun. Like Secret World does a good job. Like there's conspiracy stuff and like monsters, but it's in the it's in the real world. All right.
Yep.
Anything else to discuss?
No, I think we covered all the big stuff. We can have some fun in the post game though.
All right. We are moving on to the post game, guys. Stick around on Twitch. If you're watching on YouTube, catch us live on Twitch, 4 p.m. PST on Tuesdays.
All right, later for YouTube.
Take it easy.